This is Carl Smith. I'm doing a really quick intro here. This is Austin Abstract Artist podcast number 11. This is with Ethan Azarian. I'm excited to interview him. Hopefully we can talk about business aspects of his art making. He's very, I consider him, I'm a fan of his work, but I'm a fan of his savvy businessmanship and his work ethic, which is really strong. A lot of that's going to, probably come from his parents who were artists. But, people with a good work ethic usually, and they're good painters, they're usually really nice, awesome people. So I'm excited to get to talk to him. So enjoy Austin Abstract Artist Podcast number 11. This is Carl Smith with Ethan Azarian. My wife's building like a house to like another house in the backyard so we can rent it. Yes. In your building, is your studio done?
Not yet, no. And it's real small. It's really a shed.
Well, no.
It's a shed by the city standards because it's under 200 square feet.
But that's...
Just look the size of this room, maybe a little longer, which is awesome.
12 by 12.
Or 14 by... 12 by 16 or 14 by 6, I can't remember.
That's nice.
It's nice, yeah.
And it's just going to be for painting?
No, people can stay there if the relatives come into town and that kind of thing.
But you usually paint in just like your house, like in that room.
I usually paint in a room. Well, I've done that for years, and I used to have crazy roommates, like we all had, and they crazy roommates like with drums and addiction problems, and I would just paint in the corner.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like how I was able to paint and not be bothered by outside noise. And so now I've got a family, so I paint, and I've got a 5-year-old. He's always climbing on things and hollering, and so I just kind of paint through it if my wife was watching him.
You have a kid?
Yeah, I had a kid late.
It's your kid?
Yeah. As far as I know, yes.
Holy shit. That's huge.
Yeah, I love it.
That's a big step.
It was at the time. Now not so much. I'm used to it. And I enjoyed it.
Wow, that's awesome. What's the kid's name?
Francis, and it's a guy. It's a boy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You worked at the school for the blind, so you maybe have some experience.
Well, I've always liked kids.
Yeah.
But the thought of having your own kid seemed kind of scary because of the responsibility. And then addressing yourself getting older and mortality and all that kind of thing wrapped up in there too. With having a kid.
Financially.
Yeah, but never scared me so much.
Yeah.
And when kids are little, they don't cost a lot. It's just diapers, and they don't eat very much.
Yeah.
But in 10 years, he's going to be like owning a horse. Seriously.
He's going to own a horse, or it'll be like owning a horse?
Well, if he owns a horse, that'll be even worse. Right. He'll be like the horse. Gobbling down food.
So I'm going to do a couple of notes.
Yeah.
If I turn my head to the left of this fucking thing, it's just because of the battery. Yeah. I just have to check on the battery.
It looks like a flip camera, but it's not. It's like a fancy microphone.
It's a little zoom. It has a video thing too.
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking it was.
So it's not super high quality, but it works.
And where do you send it out? Just on the internet?
Yeah, I put it on YouTube because it's free. And the one of the things I wanted to pump was your website, which is ethanazarian.net. The podcast you were on last year, which I want everyone to check out, was bdjcraftworks.com. And that's the Brian David Johnson podcast. Right. But he has a nice setup. This is nothing.
Right, I remember he came to the house and he had a whole setup.
Professional. Probably with headphones and shit.
Yeah. Well, he's so laid back. He didn't seem that serious,
Yeah, I had him on like a couple of weeks ago or something. The problem is with podcasts, there's all these hosting websites, but they all charge a bunch of money. You put one up and then immediately the next one. you have to pay $15 a month for
50?
15,
15, yeah.
which doesn't sound like much, but I'm kind of.
But what is the deal? Like, to people, can't sell your podcast, right?
No.
It's just kind of out there for everybody to enjoy or not.
It at some point I'd like to get advertising, and whenever there's a break in the conversation, I'll throw in Tito's vodka is the best fucking vodka or something.
Really? You have to do that?
If you want to make any money.
Yeah.
I mean, all the podcasts, like the comedian ones, are free. But if you're a comedian, you're pumping your stuff.
Yeah.
And that's your voice, you talking and making jokes and shit, but
Right.
But the YouTube has worked okay. It's temporary.
Yeah.
But I'd like to step it up. But since I mentioned shows, you have a solo this goes up tonight.
Goes up tonight.
Yeah, so you have a fucking solo show May 30th.
May 30th, yes. That's Saturday, May 30th.
Pump Project, 702 Shady Lane, 78702. Are the pieces ready? Are you still hashing them out?
Oh, I'm probably 75% there.
Really?
Yeah, they're all large pieces, 50 by 40 something, sometimes 50 by 60 by 60.
Whoa.
Just squares.
Jeez.
And Pump Project didn't invite me. I invited myself.
Sure.
That's important to know.
It is.
Yes. I'm renting their studio.
Cool.
Their gallery.
Is it the main space, like downstairs?
Yeah.
Do they they section it off still for like a solo show that you're gonna do?
No, I think I have that whole space.
Whole thing.
You walk through the garage part and it's just like, oh yeah. I mean, I think they do.
Yeah, I've seen them put like sheets up.
Oh, and block it off. Yeah.
But
no, I think I'm gonna rent, and it's cheap. They're nonprofit, as you know,
mm-hmm.
and so they just want $300, and I basically get a week, 4 or 5 days.
That's great.
So it's like I go in, I set the show up, I sleep on it, I come back and I reset it up because I like to tweak things like anyone would, and then I'm gonna have a preview Friday. So I go in Wednesday, Thursday I set it up. Friday I have a preview.
Cool.
And Saturday's the opening.
Do you know what?
Sunday is like people come and pick up their work if I've sold anything, or I think I don't have to clean it up until Monday or whatever. So it's awesome.
So it's like a pop-up show.
It's like a pop-up show.
Yeah.
And they don't charge. They're just charging me $300, so I don't have to mark my work up. It would be like if I sold in my home, which I've done many years. I don't do anymore. But, But so I'm not. I can sell those large paintings will be anywhere from $700 to $800 to $1,500, depending on how much work they've taken or how much I like them. I'm all over with the prices. So.
I know. Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that because I'm a fan of your art, but I'm also a really big fan of your savvy business mindset, which seems to be essential for having a career in Austin. It's being flexible business-wise, having different price points, and
well, in Austin there's so many different types of people. There's people who are well off, who've moved here and they want something for their kids' room and they can afford the price that you like, and the price you like is kind of based on what you've been selling stuff for the last few years, kind of based on how desperate you are at the time.
Sure.
And then it's kind of like, like I'm not well known. If I were well known, then I think that's when you start asking like crazy amounts of money for your painting.
Yeah.
I'm basically like I'm probably lower than a plumber. Like if I'm selling to somebody in Westlake Hills who has a lot of money.
Yeah. I'm
probably on average charging them $35 or $40 per hour per painting.
Got it.
So I look at this large painting I did, 60 inches by 60 inches, let's say, and I'm going, okay, it took me 30 hours. So I times that by $35 or $40. Wow. I'm not sure what that works out to be, but
it's a lot.
But it's a lot, yeah. But it's not a lot. If I were a plumber, I'd be making more, kind of thing. So I kind of feel like I can be $35 or $30 an hour.
Yeah, you'd be fixing someone's toilet.
I'd be a nasty job, probably.
The nastiest. Oh my God, plumbers are.
But if suddenly people were suddenly buying my stuff, or I had if collectors were chasing me down, or there were curators. I mean, that's like when it's like rock and roll. I mean, that's like some crazy fantasy.
That doesn't happen. Does that happen to anyone in Austin? I mean, I don't know any painters here who have had a career.
No, probably not. No, Austin's so off
got
the beaten track. You know, Houston maybe.
Yeah, you've got to move, I guess, which sucks. But there's a certain mindset. If you're an artist here, is a different attitude, and like your attitude is very. It's not like I'm gonna be famous. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna charge thousands and thousands of dollars for my art. It's like, it's really cool that we still, for now. It's 2015. We still have this scene that is made up of artists that are like not cutthroat about being artists. There's not a lot of competition. I mean, I really like that. It's relaxing. it's not.
But that's because it's just sleepy still.
Yeah.
You know, if the collectors were coming here, or there were a lot of money around the galleries.
Yeah.
Or there were fancy galleries cropping up, then we might get cutthroat. But let me ask you, how do you know the Canopy guys in Big Medium? Just from
East.
East.
I've been doing East for a while. And you do it every year, right?
Do you work out of the Canopy?
I have, it's funny, I have a show.
And you have a show, right?
On the 29th.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is awesome.
About that
it's not the same fucking day as your.
Yeah.
I was so grateful.
Yeah, me too. It's just like, well, it's maybe a different.
I hate double booking. Even if we don't have the same audience, you don't want it. You don't want the Chronicle to have to.
Yeah.
Not that the Chronicle writes about my shit, but anyway. But yeah, I know some. I've known some people that have been in Canopy that have had studios, some gallery owners, but that's a tough space to stay in. It's expensive.
Yeah.
It's an expensive space, and Pump Project's way more reasonable.
Yeah.
But Canopy is fucking nice, man.
Canopy's nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to do a show there, and I asked to do this show there. I asked...
At Big Medium?
Yeah, I asked
Shea.
And he ran it by everybody, but they said, no, we're kind of, I forget the reason. I mean, I wasn't like, oh, how could you not give me a show? And I wasn't sure I wanted a show there, but I was thinking, well, like, it's kind of like Status. It's more, Canopy's a little more fancy and less funky than Pump, or more people kind of know about Canopy.
I guess.
And I like the wall space, although Pump is bigger.
Yeah, it is. I like Pump. I like the attitude there a lot more.
Yeah.
And I like the artists there. I like the artists that have been doing there.
But is Shea running Canopy? He's just part of it, right?
Well, Shea runs, Big Medium East.
Yeah.
And what is the Texas Biennial?
Yes,
There's a bunch of stuff he does, but Big Medium runs that whole thing. And they're a nonprofit too.
Yeah. Oh, who's the guy who works with him too? Jay. Is there a guy, Jay?
Do
you know what I'm talking about? He
I know.
Hangs out. He's a character with a mustache. Anyway, sorry.
No. That sucks because, I can kind of see it because I know that what they do is usually artists that push themselves off as fine artists.
Yeah.
That are like, and it's not even about quality of work, it's about intention and what those artists say to other people. They say yes. And the way that they talk to other people too, they're very serious.
Yeah.
And they're very like, not you. like you're
I'm the opposite of that.
But the art is just as good, and there's no reason that you shouldn't be in there also at some point, It should be diverse. And it should be reflective of Austin. Like you've been here for so long. Like I wish.
But that's the big thing with art that people. That's one of the things about art is the whole. If you've gone to school and you learned about art history, and then there's this whole idea of it's not good enough to just paint covered bridges,
right.
Or in my case, I'm more kind of like a folk artist. Although I'm not really.
Huh.
Maybe when I first started, I was more naive and kind of real simple. But I don't consider myself an outsider. Folk art, outsider's another term. But
which also kind of speaks to self-training too.
Yeah.
So it might just be a designation for that.
But somebody has to be out of vogue. Someone has to be Someone has to be out of style, right? And that's how I see myself.
Really?
Oh yeah.
In Austin? I mean,
yeah, I mean, I've never been invited to a gallery, or maybe a group show, or like a funky gallery, like Gary Lombardi. Remember Gary Lombardi?
Yeah.
Gary Lombardi. Oh, they would just have anybody, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were really not snobby,
right.
you know. But if you want to be snobby, then I'm not your guy, you know. I'm not. Yeah. But I could so easily be if the powers that be or the wheel turned around and suddenly went. This guy, my God, we've never been asleep under a rock.
That's all it is, just like one art critic to say this guy's a genius.
Or the feeling or the vibe or, you know.
Yeah.
Because before there was outsider art, you know, I mean, that came along and suddenly, hey, they were going around looking for weirdos in Alabama and Mississippi or the Northeast Kingdom in Vermont. I mean, wherever. They were, you know, let's find some guy who's doing something weird. Yeah. Budweiser cans, you know, and that was like, whoa, it was kind of kitschy and cool.
Yeah.
And I get that, you know, but I'm nowhere. Yeah. I mean, which is kind of cool. I mean, you know, it's like
it's a different way to make.
There's a whole different, yeah.
It's more consistent too, isn't it? Like,
well, the thing that I enjoy is the process immediately. So I enjoy painting using color and composition, and that's the main reason I do it, and I don't have any agenda, and I don't have any political statement that I'm trying to make, and it's real just kind of stream of consciousness painting, and there's no reason or rhyme behind it at all, really. And I consider myself as a musician, really. I'm a musician first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
I love music, and I write songs all the time.
But you can't make money here playing music.
Well, no.
A living.
Not as easy as art. Art is a lot easier.
It is.
Yeah, you don't have to travel and be playing little clubs all the time.
Yeah, I was really excited to hear about the Kickstarter thing that you did being so successful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Fucking phenomenal. Yes.
And that's, I mean, do you, I'm not too familiar with Kickstarter. Do you see who's contributing?
Yeah, there's a whole list.
Was it Austin or was it?
It was mostly Austin.
Mostly Austin.
It was mostly just people who knew, and I knew 90% of the people.
Yeah.
There's maybe 10% I didn't know, but probably a friend who I knew did know them. So it's really like that's the way it is.
Yeah.
It's not like just people go, oh wow, this is a cool project. Unless you're somewhat visible, you know.
Yeah.
If you're like already a name.
Right.
You know. If Sheryl Crow did one, you know, like
Sheryl,
she didn't have a problem raising $8,000.
Sheryl Crow,
right? Yeah, right.
But she sucks.
Well, I actually like Sheryl Crow.
You do?
Yeah.
I don't like her.
Good for you.
I have like pretty, unfortunately, pretty specific like jazz, classical, you know, snobby. You know, avant-garde.
Awesome, good.
But which means when I'm in Austin, it's like, although I like the music. I mean, I like the music you're making, and I like the Orange Mother. You know, I like some of the stuff that happens.
No, you would. Yeah, you would have an appreciation for that. I think because it's definitely not mainstream. It's about Orange Mothers is about as far away from a Sheryl Crow as you could get.
Yeah, and what you're doing,
and not like punk rock way either. Just
right.
You know, my sensibilities are really different.
Yeah. So there's a million directions I want to go with that, but there's one thing I wanted to read from your bio, which I fucking love, and I suggest everyone go to ethanazarian.net. It's not really a bio. It's like it's more like
I don't know which one you're referring to.
There's one. I think
the latest one maybe.
Yeah. Well, I think if you click on bio from your page, there's like 3 paragraphs to describe how.
Yeah. That's right.
Hard it is to write something like that for a visual artist.
Yeah, right.
One thing that I was really attracted to, you wrote that art is not something I have to do or couldn't live without.
Yeah, I was thinking of changing that actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Which is, and
because it sounds a little pompous. I mean, it sounds like, you know, it's like.
Well, it sounds the opposite of pompous to me. Like, because most artists. And what I was gonna say was like, most artists I know have such this weird like I'm gonna fucking die if I don't make art, and it's so tied up with my, you know, everything.
Yeah, it's dramatic. Yeah, but not everybody's like that. No, right? I mean, you're not like that.
But there's a lot of fine. Well, I was.
Oh, you
I've
were?
had to like really try to grow out of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool as what we were saying about Austin. It's like it doesn't work here. If you like Deborah Broche or something,
Yeah.
like she's really serious about what she was doing and it was really great, and then she couldn't really like stay here.
Yeah.
And then she split, and so I see that happening with a lot of my artist friends that are serious. Just
But
like,
she was serious. I didn't know her well, but she seemed serious. But she also seemed approachable, and she's down to earth. Like she wasn't like take herself serious. I mean, she took her work seriously. She's really like a talent.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But I never felt like she was like. Well, she was always nice to me. She gave me my first solo show at the Pump, which I
really?
did 4 years ago. Yeah.
That was your first solo show?
No, I've had solo shows before, but I mean, she let me rent the space out like I am now.
Wow.
And I just asked her about it, and she kind of knew who I was, and so that helped, you know. But she was really nice about it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do take themselves serious, but that's all right too. I mean, it's not like you don't have to. It's just like you don't. It's nice. It's refreshing if you're not crazy about your art, and you have to live with it. I mean, that's why wouldn't there be two kinds of people about it? You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it's a stereotype though, that, and then artists kind of get into that role. Just like if you play music, there's a certain amount of swagger you can have, or not have. You know, I don't know. It's interesting. But when you generalize like that, you think of an artist, a serious artist, like, oh my God, listen to me, my work, or I'll die. Yeah.
I have to be famous. I have to create work that changes the face of art and.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely had those inclinations when I was like a teenager.
Right, because you don't know any better.
You don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm 40 this year, and I'm definitely feeling like I'm not gonna really.
No,
You know, I don't want
to go anywhere.
After a while, it kind of the desire goes away. You're like, I just want to paint, and I really like how you've I really love how you run your business. It's become like kind of a model for me. I've really brought my prices down, and I have tiny paintings that are $20.
Yeah.
And those things will pay for a whole, and I'm doing the same thing you're talking about in May. I'm doing that same thing at Canopy. I mean, it's a pop-up show, and I'm paying to rent the space.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I'm stoked to be able to do it, but you know, it's tough. It's tough here. Do you do much like online sales?
No, because I'm not savvy with a computer. But people will approach me through the website and go, "Oh, do you still have that one on the website?" And then if I do, I'll sell it. Maybe 7 or 8 sales a year.
Okay.
But then I started doing murals 6 years ago, and that's been helpful because people see it about town. And so there'll be like, it's like a billboard, you know, if you have a big mural outside of a bar or a restaurant, you know. So I have 7 or 8 murals now in town.
Yeah. One of them was, I saw a bunch during South by Southwest this year.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of bands that played a showcase.
Yeah.
So that cityscape mural would pop up over and over.
Right. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, that was down by Snack Bar, right? I think it was.
I think it was,
Yeah. And then they just had the Honk Fest there too, and they played in front of it for Honk Fest. That was last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking to the whole business model thing, it's like I haven't been able to tap into all the new people who moved here.
Right.
People who buy from me are like other artists and other friends, and there's maybe 50 to 75 of those people who don't buy from me anymore because they have enough of my crap. You know, they have enough of my, and so it's not. I've been struggling more than usual the last couple of years, like to sell paintings.
Sure.
And to tell you the truth, I have no idea how Pump is going to go. I could easily see myself not selling anything.
It's always like that, but
no, there was a time for me from pretty much 2005 to 2012 where I sold consistently.
Really?
Anytime I did an art show, I could make. If I did one in the house, I could expect to make $5,000 to $8,000 at that one show alone.
Wow.
You know, and then get some commissions out of it.
That's
and
amazing.
you know, that's good. Last time I did Pump, I did $8,000. I sold $8,000 with the paintings there. To me, that's good.
That's super good.
That's 1 or 2 nights.
Yeah.
But since then, I stopped doing shows in my house because a few years after that, I wasn't selling that amount, maybe half that amount, 2 or 3 grand.
Which is,
I could just tell like things had changed, and I kind of saturated my market, which is small to begin with.
It's small,
yeah. And it's like I'm saying to you, I haven't been able to find all the people with those condos downtown who would buy like a nice little blue cow painting for their condo. I don't know. I see them like they're 2 feet from me, but I can't make that connection.
No.
Yeah.
You have to be in their circles.
I can't market. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's why you have ideally you have a gallerist or an art dealer who just spends their time making those connections and selling your art to them. It's incredibly difficult for me too as an artist. I mean, I know those circles in our society are there. It's just I don't know how to break into them.
Yeah, I don't either. There's probably maybe like a interior decorator person you might know, or. But speaking of Canopy, somebody was telling me about there's somebody who has a gallery at the Canopy who does, I forget the woman's name. And she does, people go to her and she consults them about what they should put in their apartment. And my friend Bonnie, do you know Bonnie Gimbel?
That sounds familiar.
She's a really talented artist. She was telling me about this person. I never followed it up, but she was just saying, oh, she might like your work. It's really colorful and you should go talk to her. And people are always asking her about what they should put in their place, or she has a business that's like that, but she also has this gallery at the Canopy. Yeah. And I forgot, now that I'm talking to you about this out loud, I need to follow that too, because that's the kind of thing.
Yeah, that's how it happens.
So you got to do that. You got to do your painting. You got to do your solo art show. You got to keep your Etsy store up, which is all stuff. That's what you do,
Yeah. But if you have the cheaper paintings, and I'm going to say affordable.
No, that's smart. Yeah, just yeah.
You'll cover your ass, and you'll always sell a painting for $20.
You'll always, usually, yeah.
You'll make your money. At least you won't be operating at a loss for that event.
I mean, I'm also spending I'm spending more time doing my music.
Yeah.
So that, on a given week, I'm doing maybe 10 or 12 hours of music. Either I'm playing or practicing or reaching out to people. So that's really cut into my. So there's a fork in the road now. So I'm spending more time trying to do music. I want to go to Europe.
Trying to book Europe.
Well, yeah, I'm just trying to get, again, I don't know, I'm like Hansel and Gretel. I'm just lost in the woods. I don't know where I am.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like I've never made better music or art ever.
Yeah.
I'm way on top of my game. So I really think it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Before someone goes, we got to get this dude to Europe, or we got to get this guy in someone should be buying his stuff.
Yeah.
And that's all. That thought alone, and the enjoyment I get from creating, and then the enjoyment that I get of the control I have, both musically and artistically. Because as you get better, you have this control, and you can suddenly do what you want with the canvas or with the guitar. It's not like, well, maybe I can make a good painting. It's like, no, I can make a good painting most of the time, right?
Yeah.
When you get to that point, then it's fun,
Yeah.
And you remember when you first started and you weren't quite sure, like, oh, I don't know if I can make this painting, And then the bigger it was, it's like, oh shit, I gotta really make sure this is gonna be good. And it never was.
Yeah.
The small ones are always easy. You just whip them up. You're not thinking about them.
Yeah.
Then you try and translate them big. Anyway, I think for me what helped was doing murals because they're so big.
Yeah.
That when I do a big canvas, it's not a big canvas to me now.
Wow.
I do like a 20-foot wall by 30 feet long. That's a big canvas. But if I do a 60-inch by 60-inch canvas, it's like I can't fit all the stuff I want to fit in there.
Yeah.
So that was great. That was an unexpected benefit of doing murals that I hadn't anticipated.
Yeah, those.
Now I can do big canvases quickly and not think about it. They're not. The only thing that still sucks about it is it costs money to make.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna ask if
that sucks.
If you put do you bulk materials costs into your sell price? I mean, that's why the bigger pieces.
Loosely. Yeah. But if I'm doing a real loose painting, speaking of loosely, and I'm doing a large size painting very loosely, I can sell it for half as much as if I do a detail painting, because I can paint both ways now. I can get really anal and detailed and many coats of paint, or I can do paintings where I'm just letting the gesso show. Well, I never use gesso, but whatever crappy paint I'm using to gesso it with,
Okay.
I can just let that show in places and not finish it. And
Yeah.
I've been flirting with, like all artists do, with stuff, leaving it unfinished. And sometimes when you do a painting, it looks really good before you finish it, and then when you finish it, it doesn't look as good. You know that trick?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then you try to get it back to where it was, and it's gone.
Just start again.
It's gone. Yeah.
It's almost the anticipation of it. This is going to be a good one.
Yeah.
That is what makes it work. Because people go, "Oh, that's going to look really good," and you go, "Yeah." It's kind of recording. You can do that too. Like then when you get it all squeaky clean, you get everything right, and you go, "Wait a minute, this thing died there somewhere along the way," you know.
Yeah. I usually, if it's 80%, if I can live with 80% of it, then I split.
Yeah.
And if I'm only gonna get like $300 for it anyway, I'm not gonna waste my time trying to make it perfect. But that took me decades
to get to that.
Yeah, because I spent 10 years going, damn it, it's gotta be perfect.
Right.
But I hated art after a certain point. You know, I was like, this is not fun.
No, it's not fun.
No, it's not fun to try to be. Have you ever? And I'm only like kind of familiar with your more representational art. Did you ever do any like hardcore abstraction or anything?
No, I faked a few things like we all do, like try different styles, but no. But back to what we were talking about. Now I do this thing where I'll paint a painting and it'll be half finished or 3/4 finished, and then a year later I might go and finish it. Or I might go, if it doesn't sell, I might add some things that I can see clearly what I think it needs.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of paintings. Do you find when you're working on something, let's say for 20 or 30 hours, you just can't think about it anymore?
No.
You can't see it. You're too close to it.
Yeah.
But if you looked at it a couple months later, you could go, oh, there's the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, that's maybe a problem or may not be a problem, but for your own self, you look at it and you can see clearly like what color changes, and that's really cool. I always depend on that sometimes.
Yeah, or my whole concept to painting has changed.
Yeah.
So I can just
it's not
change.
so important.
Yeah, I can change that whole thing and use that crappy painting as a template for trying to make a new painting in this new context. I had this one painting that just had a little fucking yellow thing with a red stripe in the middle, you know, and everything else was fine. Oh God, and it was just driving me crazy. And I was actually, because the solo show I'm doing, there's going to be like 20 pieces. Like I need inventory for the show.
Yeah.
And I want them to fit within a series. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just leave it. You know, like I was saying, if it's 80%,
close enough.
I just got to work on some new shit.
Yeah.
You know, but this friend of mine came over as a painter and was like, that red stripe is full of shit. You've got to fix that. And he pointed right at that fucking stripe. It was this guy, Chris Crummer, and I was like, you ass. I mean, he was right, though. So I ended up just painting over the whole thing, and I started to try to fix it, you know, but yeah, it was not working. Oh, man.
Is that going to be in the show?
I don't know. I have another solo show in December at this like nonprofit art space, of course, and I'm already looking to get pieces for that. I think I've got pretty much all the pieces together for the show in May, and I'm not that happy about it, but it's finished, you know, and like I want to move on to the thing in December.
Oh wow, good for you then.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do paintings from now until May and maybe replace them, or is it pretty much a show that's all?
I kind of have it all fitting in one thing, and I'm sort of working on a different thing now. Like more of a solid thing, and this thing in May is a little looser. So yeah, I don't know. I always like change things at the last minute, even though I say I'm not going to. But
we all do. That's just part of the deal.
Yeah, and I have a day job.
Yeah.
So I have to really be selective. It's 40 hours a week, and and I have to be selective about what I do. So I'm dropping ideas out all the time, you know, and I don't do figurative stuff, and there's a lot of things that I don't mess with.
Is what I'm looking at what you consistently do?
Well, I have some, for the show in May, that's going to be more like it, and these are more colorful. But the stuff with the lines that look like landscapes is what I'm going to try to do in December.
there's a difference, and then this is more like a design or graphic.
Got some geometric ones, yeah.
Yeah,
Those are
nice too.
those are the ones that I like. Will have at shows for $20.
Yeah,
Those are my best seller. Although I'm not that excited about them. They're
yeah.
just like a really quick, simple way to just.
I bet they look great if you got 3 or 4 of them all next to each other.
Yeah,
in a row. That could be powerful.
I've made some big ones, like 6-foot-ish ones that I sold pretty quick.
Yeah.
But like I said, they're no fun. They're just not that much fun to paint.
That's a good idea. Maybe I'll steal that idea, but I'll make squares and circles.
But yeah, because they're geometric.
Nice white.
They're abstractions too.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, you would probably put it in a cityscape context or.
No, I'll just steal right from you.
Yeah.
I steal your...
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm joking, but at the same time, I kind of like. That would be nice to do a series that way.
Something.
Yeah, maybe I would put it in this cityscape, but I like the white.
High contrast. White
Yeah, the
lines.
high color with the bold black lines are nice. So the canopies like pop up. It'll be like for a week. You'll have your show.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And it's actually called Little Pink Monster Gallery. It's not really the big medium space, but it's right next door to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a nice space. It's big. It's one of the bigger of the 3 spaces.
They were all kind of small, the spaces, I thought, when I went there, Carl.
Yeah.
Like, I was looking, I was like, I thought this was bigger now. And I was thinking, no, Punk Project's bigger. But like I said, I thought it might be better to do Canopy, just because of the name or whatever.
If you can book it, if they won't let, like we were talking about, they won't let just.
Shay was so cool, though.
He's
said,
cool.
I got to talk to other people or whatever. He knows me, and he's never been, like, snooty or weird to me or whatever. And they used to come to my art shows back when they worked with Philip Joseph. Remember, there was 3. It was Jana, his wife, and Shay.
She's
I think
a
it was
painter.
Joseph. And they worked as Sodalitas. They collaborated. You knew this, did you not?
I don't know what the.
They all 3 worked they would work on art pieces or projects together. So
This is like early 2000 or something?
yeah, maybe around 2000s.
Okay.
They worked together, and they all kind of started east. The 3 of them when they were on Baum Road. I think I got my history right on that.
Yeah, that sounds
They've
good.
always been, friendly about whatever. Because did the first East
Yeah.
way back when there was just 35 of us.
You've done all of
40,
them.
except one, I think. Yeah.
That's amazing.
But anyway, no, I didn't think that they would, because I'm not, what they're looking for is, like you're saying, it's not cutting edge, or it's not, it's not what they're looking, and I know that, but at the same time, I thought, if it was between shows, what do they care, and it's not like they need the money or anything, but they might go for it. I think Shay might have gone for it, but they might have talked to other people, like,
Well, you don't do like the last.
But I'm happy with Pump too, so it was either or.
Yeah. But it would be great to drum up. Like, I'm really interested in what happens after this solo show. It's gonna be great. Do you usually get like press? Does anyone review them?
I just contacted the Chronicle, and they always put me in listings. And but I asked them if they wanted to do an article on this time. Every 5 or 6 years I'll hit them up like, "You guys put me on the cover," Like, I just say that, right?
Yeah, sure.
I send them my stuff.
Yeah.
Because they won't, but
Why not?
But why not, right?
Doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt, and then maybe if I keep asking, eventually they'll go, you know what? We're never going to deal with this guy. Or, you know what? Yeah, we can do a little article. Sometimes they'll do like a paragraph. They'll do a picture and a paragraph, which is awesome.
Yeah.
A paper makes a big...
It makes a difference.
It makes a difference. I'll do Arts Eclectic, which is the KUTX, Michael Lee.
Ailey.
And
John Ailey.
Ailey, but Michael Lee does this. Mostly they do like theater.
Right.
Right, and they'll go, this is Arts Eclectic. It's like a minute and a minute and a half long.
Uh-huh.
Edited version of you rambling about your poetry, or in my case, my art show.
Yeah.
And then he edits it and says, this is when the show is happening, and here, and go to www. It's excellent.
That helps
Right, it helps.
so
It's
much.
huge.
Yeah.
Well, it can,
Yeah.
And I get in touch with the stations, but I was going to ask you, what am I not? Who should I be getting in touch with about promotion?
Well,
who are you dealing with?
Well, the thing I'm doing now is I'm going rogue, and I'm Twitter, Facebook.
Oh yeah.
I'm going social media, and the Facebook thing. I've really been like, I'm probably around 4,000 friends now, and I've been selling online, like through Facebook.
Yeah.
And like trying to do that stuff myself. Because like you said, it's inconsistent, and I've been begging, I've been begging the Chronicle too, and Wayne Brenner. I've been just those emails,
Right.
After a couple of decades, they get, and I do the same thing. I'm like, just write an article. What do I have to do? Just tell me what I need to say or do, and I'm just feeling ignored. So I'm trying to take advantage of the free stuff,
Yeah.
And you've
But consistently do the Chronicle, because it's like,
it's important, yeah.
it could be personal that they don't like your stuff, but it's more than not. It's just you gotta wait in line, or it's just
timing. The timing's
all
right.
of that.
Yeah,
all of that. Like, I know that those guys at the Cron would not. They're not going to be down with my work. They only would do it if, there's a buzz, or I've been doing it long enough, kind of thing. So that's why I always, like I said, 5 or 6 years, I go, hey guys, can you write an article about my solo show or whatever?
What about the statesman like Risen, Jean Claire Van Risen? Does she ever?
No.
You ever talk to her?
I've never talked to her, but she looks scary. Like she would just yell at me or something.
She does,
and she might not be scary at all. So unfair for me to say.
I mean, she looks like a serious art critic.
She looks like a serious art critic.
Yeah,
right.
and when she writes, she's pretty.
I'm a buffoon. She's not. I
mean,
I
it's,
don't know.
It's good shit. It's good shit, and.
Are you a fan of her writing?
Yeah. But she's also someone who we need to like be hitting up as like, this shit's happening, write about it. And that's the stuff I think also where people, if you get an art critic like her to write about your show and it's good, and then she says so.
Yeah.
Which shouldn't be.
That all helps. Yeah.
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 What I've had, funny thing that will happen to me at the Chronicle sometimes is I'll send them in a bunch of press for a show, and they'll put the information in wrong.
Right.
Like just the totally different artist.
Right.
And I'll call, Wayne Brenner, and I'll say, look, dude, that's not even me.
Does he know you? Like, you guys...
Well, he knows me because I'm on his ass about stuff.
Right.
But I don't think he's a fan of anything. And he also books the Salvage Vanguard Theater, that main space foyer, which is a beautiful space.
Yeah.
Big, and would be perfect for your stuff,
Yeah.
But I've been trying to get, something there for years. And I email him every 3 months about it.
Do you really?
Yeah. But
and does he respond back to you?
No. But he responded to the thing, like he wrote this thing about a show I had where he put the Philip Trussell's name or something.
Right. Oh, do you know Trussell?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've studied with him.
Oh, awesome. Is he still on 11th Street?
Yeah, he is.
Is he still there?
Yeah.
Like, if I went to that place now, he'd be there.
He's there.
Yeah.
He has no computer. I wanna pump him real quick. PhilipTrussell.com.
Yes.
That dude is amazing, and he is painting more than he's
Ever?
the best painter in Austin.
He's great.
Most
he's
prolific.
Yeah.
Studied at Yale.
Yeah.
He's been painting. He's 70 now. But he doesn't do shows. He used to show at this place called Tom's Tabbouleh, and they got sold.
Didn't he used to do a show? He does a show a year, though, I think. Does he still do his
He
Christmas
hasn't
show?
been.
He hasn't sold down. And then there was a place down in South Austin he was selling.
Oh, really?
Near End of Veneer. I can't remember the place. Anyway, he came to my show, and I was so tickled. He came to my show at Pump Project 4 years ago.
Really?
Him and Sharon, his girlfriend, came. And, I think he likes what I do just because I just do it. Yeah. Right, and I'm consistent, but I'm not necessarily. He's schooled, right? So
he's a different,
That's right. So it's like I'm not painterly in the painterly sense,
And he really works on.
But
having 15 different styles of like he's trying to do something different.
Yeah,
and he's serious about it.
Yeah,
which is why I think he's backed away. I mean, he loves Austin and he loves making paintings, but he doesn't. From what
he's no interest in trying to sell himself for any. He never was. Yeah,
he's retired. He really just wants to make good work, and people know who he is. He's sold to Linklater. Yeah, he's bought some of his stuff. People that have been here for a while know how, and they'll buy stuff. enough for him to keep going. But his apartment, there must be 800 paintings in there.
Yeah.
They're small, thin canvas.
He still gets those cheap cameras.
Yeah.
Like they're what, 16 by 20.
Yeah. And just tiny. But
Yeah.
when he gets on some sort of weird idea or series, he will fucking make hundreds of those.
Yeah.
And they're all just, beautiful.
No, he's a good guy. He's always nice to me. I used to go visit him.
He's really,
And he used to chain smoke. He was a crazy smoker. And he'd just be smoking and painting. And he didn't mind if you sat and talked to him while he smoked and painted, you know.
Yeah.
And he had the cutest little place. It's still over on 11th Street.
Still has that little apartment,
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, he's great. But Wayne Brenner put my name up for some put his name up instead of mine, and then I called him and he was like, "Oh yeah." And I'm also apologizing for putting the wrong information, so we're gonna pump it this, we're gonna pump the information this way. But yeah, I wish. I don't know what you have to do to get on that thing where, you should be on there where if you have a show and it's happening once every year and a half, like that's
a couple of years.
There's no reason for them to. And Katie Rose Pipkin, do you know her?
No.
She's an artist. She won I was surprised to see her on the cover of the Chronicles. She won the Texas Biennial last year. And she's a really good painter. Turk Pipkin is her dad. Do you know him?
No, why does that name sound familiar?
He, I think he wrote Willie Nelson's biography or something. But he also makes documentaries. He's a philanthropist. But, and Turk, I think, opened the Violet Crown Cinema. He was one of the producers of that. But, so they like art. They know about visual artists.
Yeah.
And the people that are here and are dedicated and have done their time, they should be...
Well,
getting
but again, we shouldn't be. It's not.
Who knows what they're up against, too. Their editors might be...
If me and you ran a newspaper and we would go after stuff that personally we liked, and we'd also be responsible for doing stuff we didn't like to some degree.
Yeah.
But I think there would be a long line of people who would want us to write about them. So we'd have to start picking and choosing.
Sure.
And it would be a lot easier to choose stuff that we kind of like, and the stuff we definitely didn't like. No matter how long that person had been around, we probably wouldn't bother to write about them. So that's just kind of human nature. Yeah. It's almost like you can't take it personally.
No.
So if the people of the Chronicle don't like your work, it's not like they don't like you. It's they don't like your work. It's almost just really just not even personal.
Yeah.
But that's, as an artist though, it's very easy for us to be trapped by our own egos into thinking, well, this guy doesn't like me, and fuck these guys because they never write about me, and then you can get started on that whole like, this gallery sucks and this curator sucks, and there's no end to that.
Yeah.
I know this full well because I'm a musician and artist, so I'm double pissed. Everybody who does music, and I'm pissed at everybody who runs a gallery, and I'm pissed at the Chronicles. They won't write about. I've been down that road, and it's really easy to get out of it. You just see it for what it is, and you go, no, I can't afford to get bogged down and the whole hate of it.
Yeah.
Having said that, it's always fun to have a couple of beers and with other artists and friends, and you just go, you see that guy swear, it's terrible. Yeah. And I think that's healthy.
It's the most fun,
as long as it doesn't, you're not carrying it on the next day or even an hour later. You just let it go.
Yeah.
And that's just called venting. And that's kind of a self-preservation thing we do. But if you're carrying that attitude, and then it gets so bad where you don't even talk to the Chronicle or you won't go out and support things that they're doing, then you're screwed.
Yeah.
And I know this to be true because I've been on the good side. Like when I got on the good side of KUT, to some degree, Ailey will play my songs or he'll talk to me. But when I first moved here, I couldn't get those guys to pay any attention to me. Sure. And it took 10 years before I finally got on Ailey's show. And once I did, and he really liked me, so now I'm like, oh, I love this guy. But when I first heard Ailey or whatever, I would be, oh, that guy, he's so hard.
It's a weird show.
But when you get in the good graces of these people, then suddenly you're like, oh yeah, well, yeah, okay. So I know, right? And it's also hypocritical. So I don't want to be a curmudgeon. I don't want to be a cynical son of a gun. And as you're getting older, it becomes less becoming. You know, if you're 20 and you're shooting your mouth off, whatever, you're 20. But if you're 52 and you're like,
it's just
nah, it's just not.
Because you're getting towards
no good.
Yeah, you're getting towards the end of your life. Like you don't want to live a bunch. Like life's too short to live like that.
But I have to be honest with you. There's not a week goes by where I'm just really pissed. Right. That I haven't.
But you don't let it affect your output.
Well, sometimes I'll do snarky emails to people, or I'll joke around, or I mean.
I do that on Facebook.
Yeah,
I post.
It's something I struggle with. I have to admit that sometimes it gets the best of me. But I know what I just told you, my rant about just let it go and don't worry about it. I know that's the truth.
Sure.
And really don't take it personally. We all pee, we all poop.
Right.
We all eat cereal, it's not.
And it starts to
get crazy about it.
Yeah, it starts to affect how people see you too, because they want to be around happy artists. They don't want to be around someone who's angry, and it doesn't help you sell work. It doesn't help you get your name out there. You've got to be professional.
It's called being gracious and professional.
Grateful for what?
Gracious.
But it takes a long time to. It takes a long time to learn. It's really hard in the arts because
some people are positive and they're not cynical.
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe because they've had some luck early on in their career, or maybe they don't have a disposition towards it. But it seems like everybody I know has a real disposition to being cynical and cranky.
Yeah, well, I think you're unique in Austin. You come from this really awesome place where it's like. Fucking Vermont looks like a fucking Bob Ross like dreamscape. Mm-hmm. Like I went to Bennington have you heard of that?
Yeah,
arts college?
I used to play at that college.
Oh, really?
Had the Spring Fest every year. Yeah,
play music.
My band played down there. Yeah, and that was at that time it was the most expensive college in the U.S.
I think it's close.
I don't know.
Still.
I remember it was like $25,000 a year.
Yeah,
that would have been 1983 or something.
Yeah, they still do scholarships, but it is fucking insane how expensive. But it's also insanely awesome. They have a really unique curriculum, and they get the craziest motherfuckers who aren't teachers. They do very non-traditional things. But anyway, when I went there, I was looking around, and I'm from Texas, and there's a fucking supermarket, but then there's a giant mountain, just 30 feet away, just beautiful, beautiful fucking rural and, cows and all that pretty shit that is not in Texas at all.
Yeah.
And I think you bring some of that. Like Texans, I think get to be a little jaded because this place kind of sucks. The weather sucks. The landscape sucks. The people are kind of angry because of all that shit.
Yeah.
It's a hard place. And if you were born here and you grow up here and you grow around ranches, with ranchers are dicks compared to farmers and people. I just think of Vermont as this really nice communal sort of let's be positive.
Well, yes and no. I mean, the people would argue that it's because it's cold and bitter up there that people can tend to be kind of cold and bitter too. You've heard that, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So Vermont is more picturesque in that the little green hills and maple trees and the cows on the green hillside. And Vermont's landscape is more inviting than Texas. You could take your clothes off and roll in a pasture.
Right.
Most you're going to get is cow poop. But if you took your clothes off and rolled in some pasture in Texas, you got chiggers, you got fire ants, you got rattlesnakes, whatever. You can't just go running naked through the woods in Texas expect to be stepping on cactus thorns and stuff. Vermont, you really can. There's nothing.
Yeah.
Northern Vermont, not even any rattlesnakes.
So how did
poison ivy? That would be the big scary thing in the woods.
And we have that here too.
You have that here.
And rattlesnakes.
Yeah. And fire ants and chiggers.
And searing heat.
The heat is awful.
That just killed.
Yeah.
How did you end up in Austin?
A friend moved here in the early 80s and suggested that I come down here and play music because he knew I was a musician. He was a friend from high school. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't come down until 89. So he got here in 84 and he stayed until about 93. Mm-hmm. So we crossed paths down here for a while. And so I got here 89, and then I did music for a while, and I worked at the blind school for a couple of years before I got fired for falling asleep, and then you're out of there.
Sure.
And then I started painting houses. And
you're a house painter.
Yeah, I was a house painter because I could do it, and I could
That's really cool.
work for myself, and
Yeah.
the money was okay, And then I started painting more seriously on canvases. No, I guess not till 99. I was making a living, though. By 95 and 96, I was making a living from painting because I was selling in, back then, like, cafes.
Yeah.
Kirby Lane was a really good place. And,
Yeah.
And what's the other one? Kirby Lane.
Magnolia.
Thank you, yes. Because they're 24 hours, and I kept my prices low.
Yeah.
In Texas French Bread, I used to have a show at Texas French Bread. And then I started showing in my house in 99.
Okay.
And then from there, I had a yearly Christmas show, which is lucrative. It's awesome. Right up until about 3 years ago. Took 10 years.
Sorry, my dog's freaking out. Ira, stop barking.
All right, Jackie.
But Austin was a different place.
Oh, it's always
cheaper.
been a different place. When I moved here, people were like, "Oh, it's a different place." It's different.
Yeah.
In the 80s, and I think it's one of those places where there's a big turnover. I mean, it's always changing. Austin is.
But what it's becoming now is very much a new realm of unfriendliness towards artists, in my view.
Really?
This sort of for friends of mine that are artists that have to rent their homes.
Yeah.
Those rents are going up so much. I see a lot of them just being like, well, fuck this, I'm going to move somewhere cheaper. Or if I'm going to pay this much in rent, I'm going to go to LA or someone where I can.
Right.
Which is really sad for me.
If you're thinking about moving here for it to be cheap and you're an artist, yeah, that's come and gone, yeah. Unless you're over here, though.
We're on the east side, and we own our houses.
Do you own this, or are you renting?
Yeah.
Awesome. Good for you.
Thanks.
Is it expensive around here?
It's not too bad. We're
Not
kind
too
of in
bad,
the
right?
same-ish area, aren't we?
No,
pretty
where I
close.
am, it's crazy.
Really?
I paid $120 for my house in 2003. My house is maybe about the size, maybe your size. What are you,
8 something,
Yeah.
820 maybe.
Yeah, I'm 900
Okay.
maybe.
I paid 80 at about that same time,
Okay.
and now it's worth about 30. I can't remember. It seems.
Probably more.
Yeah.
But see, I'm on the other side of airport, so that's like,
Oh, really? Airport Boulevard.
yeah, going towards town. So I'm a mile from downtown. And people are knocking down houses like this,
Yeah.
or like my house, and building 2-story stuff. And I'm near MLK, the train stop.
Oh, yeah.
And people are saying the dirt around there is worth like 150, 160, just for dirt, just for an empty lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird.
So I'm wondering, like, if I sold my place and then came over here and started fucking up your neighborhood. No, but seriously, I took 12th Street out the other day past the airport and saw all these little like neighborhoods, and maybe some of them are sketchy, whatever. It's kind of block by block, right?
I don't think
People
any of them.
breaking into stuff, or not really.
Occasionally, it's
Yeah.
not that. It's nothing like a real Houston or
Right.
Chicago or something. But yeah, it's pretty nice. But you're building a studio and stuff. You're invested in your spot.
Yeah, but
Just
when
gonna
I
stay
sell that spot, then I can always just add that studio cost on and double it or whatever it's going to cost me. You
Yeah.
know. And it's expensive. I mean, it's always more than you think it's going to be when you build a studio. But my mom was cool about lending me money to do it, and that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I probably would build it, over the course of 5 years.
Yeah.
If I had to on my own, but.
So was she a teacher? I can't remember.
No, my mom's a artist. She's a book illustrator.
Okay.
She started out like in the arts and crafts world. She did prints, woodcut prints that she made, and she'd go and sell them out of a little booth at different art shows. She did that for many years. It was hard work.
But they
She was
were
successful at it.
successful, yeah.
And then she started to illustrate children's books, and that's when she was making a decent living. She had agent and all that.
And that probably gave you the idea that I could just be an artist.
I never really thought about it. I never thought, well, I'm going to do what Mom does. Mom was always so more professional.
Yeah.
And I'm not professional. I was just kind of music and art. Kind of just was there. So I wasn't motivated to go to school.
Uh-huh.
And I liked my parents' lifestyle, and I liked living in Vermont. So I just kind of all accepted it all. But
Yeah.
I've never felt like I wanted to do anything but those two things. But I often think maybe I should have. Seriously.
Well, I
loved acting.
Really?
Oh yeah, I loved it.
There's a lot of money in acting, but it's not an easier.
It's not any easier. No, but
it's a competitive racket.
I really like that whole. You're doing a play and it's kind of like your family, and I don't know. I think it would be exciting.
I was thinking about doing that since Austin is such kind of it's a big place for movies. And I had no ideas of being an actor, but I started just doing extra work because my friends were doing it.
Yeah.
And that Friday Night Lights stuff, I started just getting calls for more and more work. I put up like one little headshot.
Really?
Yeah, and they just kept calling me for stuff, and I had a job, but it's good money.
Yeah.
It's consistent work. They're doing more and more films here.
Yeah.
It's just another way to make money.
Oh, that sounds great. So did you do Friday Night Lights?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, I was an extra, so you wouldn't recognize me, but
yeah,
just dumb stuff in the stand,
Yeah, I liked that show. I didn't watch it until about a year ago.
Oh, really?
It's been out for a while, right?
The series,
yeah. And it was well done. I enjoyed it.
You see the movie, right?
I didn't see the movie. No.
Oh, that's the series is nothing compared to the movie.
Really?
The movie is hardcore, and it's a little they go back a little farther when it's a little more brutal.
Yeah.
And this is, Odessa, like West Texas. Like the only way out for some of these kids was football, and they were just it's insanely brutal.
Yeah.
And it's very dramatic.
I bet the reason is because you're out in the desert and you're really in the middle of nowhere, Odessa, right?
There's nothing. Yeah.
So everyone just you just have this fantasy. I mean, everyone just like. They throw all of their hopes and dreams into this stupid football thing, right?
Into one thing.
Yeah.
And then they get injured and they're not educated. And I don't know what it's like now. I think they've had to change a lot of how high school and college football is done.
Yeah.
But back then you didn't get an education. They didn't care.
Yeah.
And so you'd get injured and you had nothing, like literally.
Yeah.
And even the cheerleaders, like they're getting tossed around and they can't dance after. Oh, the stuff they're expected to do. Anyway, I can't remember how I got on that, but...
Oh, we're talking about acting.
And your mom.
Doing acting, theater.
That's cool, but I think you're professional. I think what you're doing is really smart. The way you're doing it is... I mean, I know a lot of artists that don't really care about making money at all and don't really push themselves, and so I'm really...
Well, you seem prolific, right? You're always making a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm working 40 hours a week, but I mean, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to get out of that, and that's one of the things I wanted to do with this podcast was talk to artists who are kind of successful and try to, because like I know a lot of artists who are working full time and they shouldn't be. They should be making art, and I feel like that too. I feel like I'm getting close. And in 2013, I actually made enough money that year from art sales to not have a job, but I still had a job. And of course, 2012, I didn't do that. 2014, I didn't do that. And this year, I'm probably not set up to do that, but I'm really stoked to be able to talk to someone who's really doing it and who's done it consistently.
Well, done it for a long time. Yeah. What helped me is I always would write down. What would I write? I'd write down people I should contact.
Yeah.
Like right now, I should go to the Canopy and figure out who that Bonnie Gimbel, who that person is who helped decorate people's apartments. So that would be one. Get in touch with the Chronicle. There's always somebody who's threatening to buy a piece of work, which doesn't mean jack because they forget or they don't have the money. But call that person or email that person again. Yeah. That's just part of it. And then you'll be surprised that you'll find in any given week you'll have 5 or 6 people that you should call that maybe can get you an inch down the road. And if you do that every week consistently, then as you know.
Yeah.
You start to sell stuff through the internet. And then you do your show. Call people up, tell them, get your ass to my show, bring your mother, all that. You know all this.
Yeah. Do you do motorblade, like flyering, postering, and stuff?
I do my own flyering.
But you make
I maybe do 50 posters. But I actually, when I was doing the art show in the house, I'd call people about 10 days out. I'd start calling them. Don't forget the show. And it's like mailing lists.
Wow.
Just go down. When I was in the height of it, I was calling maybe about 150 people.
Jesus, that's great.
But it felt really good. It was obnoxious. I think sometimes people were like, dude, I'm eating my dinner. I don't care about your show. There was always a few like people who couldn't remember. Like, what? Yeah. Ethan, what? Art show? You got the wrong number, buddy. That kind of thing. Yeah. And then there'd be people, oh, dude, I love it. You're calling me. Yes, I'm going to come. Thank you. And I'll be like, oh, I'm bringing my mom and her brother. Yay! My uncle.
What? So what is it that... Because I do
But
that.
I like the idea of doing it because it made me feel like if the show was a flop, at least I wasn't sleeping on the job. I was calling people.
You did your part.
And then I also, true or not, felt like it was putting it out there in the universe. If I told enough people...
Yeah.
Hey, there's a show that's happening, and then they would go, did you get that call from Ethan? Yeah, I gotta go. And then that would kind of like catch on.
Yeah, and then if they see the flyer at Magnolia, then they're reminded again.
Right, and then I'd send the email.
Yeah.
And most people would not be offended by all of the media thing. I mean, in my mind's eye, I was bugging people, but it's like it was once a year.
Yeah.
And it was me feeling like, I keep making these phone calls, right?
Well, that's how I feel about the pricing too. I feel like you're giving everyone a reason to buy it. Like anyone can buy your art.
Yeah.
Anybody can buy a painting for $20.
Or they can buy one for $2,000 too.
Yeah, they can. But the higher the price, the more you increase the odds. You cut off parts of your market, but you leave the market open to everybody. And you've done everything you can. And
I'd say the price that was the most was somewhere between $50 and $150. That's right. I mean, I made a lot of small sales, $10, $15, $20, $25. But in an art show, it seemed like anything $50 to $150 I could sell pretty easily. Sometimes $300. Then I would always sell $500 or $600 piece, occasionally a $1,500 piece.
That's great.
And so you add all that up, and that would be like $7,000 or $8,000. You're like, awesome.
Yeah.
It was really good, but by making it accessible, and also by doing the small work, you also learned how to paint big too.
Yeah.
Like you could practice your stuff on the small work and not worry about it, and then you'd be better off when you went and did a larger thing.
Yeah. Where do you get the shit to paint on? Like, do you buy canvases? Do you have to make them?
No, I used to buy canvases. Now I paint a lot of like small stuff. I'll paint on wood. Or I'll cut little pieces of wood. Or the big stuff, I just buy the canvases.
Really?
I buy and stretch them myself. I buy the stretcher bars.
Cool.
Which are cheap enough. If you get Frederick's, they have cheap deals on stretcher bars. But I know a lot of people who would make their own or have them made by a carpenter. That's probably cheaper than going to an art store and buying your freaking wooden frames. What about you?
It's a lot of money. It's a mix. I go to Goodwill a lot.
Yeah.
And you know what I've started doing is going to Canopy and looking in the dumpsters at Canopy because they're all artists that are like throwing. I guess they have.
Do you see stuff there? You
Yeah.
grabbing stuff?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I have to like occasionally sand, and I'm always having to paint over something. But I find all kinds of weird shit in there.
Really?
But Goodwill's the best. Goodwill is where you find those cheap vinyl prints, they're like $4 and just paint over them.
And someone was always saying right about this time, or probably more towards May, go on campus.
Oh.
To those dumpsters by the art building.
Oh, wow.
On campus. I had a girlfriend who used to do that. She used to go to school there, and she was like, man, there's all these big canvases, little people are just, they're cleaning out their studio. The kids, they're going back, they're throwing it away.
Giving up.
I never did it, but she occasionally would bring home a nice canvas that people were just throwing away. And I always thought about doing that, but maybe if you're into it, you should check it out.
Yeah. So, and there's another thing, Austin Resource Recovery is like a recycling center in Austin.
Yes.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah, down by Ben White.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have paint.
I take all my crappy paint or stuff that's ruined down there.
Really?
Yeah.
But
they have free paint.
The free paint, that's where I get a lot of, and people will, I'll go there once a week, and once every 3 months or so I'll find a sack of like gouaches.
Yeah.
Like
really?
hundreds. Yeah, like someone that you're saying like at the end of the school year throws this shit away, you know. And in Austin we recycle that paint. So there's like a free store in there.
Yeah, I should do more of that. Especially when I do murals, I should go down. What's the deal again? Refresh me. Go there on Wednesdays, right?
It's like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday 10 to 1. It's very specific hours.
Very specific hours. And then how do you get the free stuff? Do you have to look through it? Do they save it for you, or do you remember?
There's a little shed where they keep the stuff. You just walk in and take it.
Yeah.
But they also take a bunch of that old house paint, like you're saying, and put it in these big buckets. So you could get like, what it is for people in Austin who can't afford paint to be able to paint their houses.
Yeah.
So they take all that house paint, they just dump it all in one thing, shake it up, it turns beige or whatever.
Right.
But you can get 30 gallons of it for free and paint your house.
Right.
Which is amazing. And I use that stuff, like you were saying, to prime canvas.
Yeah.
Just to have a layer of something on canvas. So yeah. Man. Yeah, there's some options.
And then you always work in this thick, like what's that, an inch?
I try to.
I like that too. Yeah.
I mean, and I get in group shows sometimes where they won't let you do thin canvas. You got to paint the edges. It's got to be, an inch at least.
I like that look too. I think the bigger ones I've been doing are almost an inch and a half, maybe 2 inches.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
And so you were doing that. What was the falling through the cracks?
Slipping through the cracks.
Slipping, sorry.
Yeah.
That's done.
I finished. I would be doing it today. So I send it out by Tuesday. Yeah.
What gave you the idea to do that?
I thought about it a long time before I did it, and I thought it would be good for me to document myself in a year and talk about music and art. And I thought it might be really fun to like just post it on YouTube like you're doing here.
Yeah.
And then see if, I don't know, by bringing attention to the fact that we're all taking a chance and we all might slip through the cracks, that might alter my perception of being an artist, or it might be, it might work to my advantage somehow, or make more art sales.
It's given some people, and they can still track it if they want to look at that year. They can look at all that stuff.
But I honestly did it for myself.
Really?
Like to just see, what in a given year, what am I talking about? What's going on in a given week? And I probably won't, but I might just start going through them again myself, and just kind of track it, a weekly thing. Just kind of listen to it, because I'd make them and I would they're unedited. Because I didn't have the tools.
Yeah.
And sometimes if I didn't like the 3 or 4 minute thing, I'd just redo it or whatever. But just like me sniffing, picking my nose and coughing, and
people love that stuff.
That's what they want. Love that stuff. Yeah, they don't want it all slick. So it's really. Or there was one where I just got my mouth with my crazy teeth, and like I didn't realize the camera was, I just leave it,
Yeah.
But it was gross. It's like, rah, 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 rah.
Do you listen to
half of my head? It's not showing.
Not in there. Do you listen to podcasts at all?
No, I don't.
You didn't listen?
I was meaning to listen to the one that you did. It was some woman, right? That you
Annie
did.
Wells?
Annie Wells? Is that right?
She runs Little Pink Monster.
Yeah.
But the one with you and Brian David is good.
I did listen to it.
You did listen? It's
because he was like, dude, you gotta listen to
this.
It's
good.
It's like,
it's like one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, I did. And he was such a sweetie about it. He came to the house, and we sat and we had a good time. And I know him, for a while.
So we got about an hour. I'm trying to think, is there anything else you want to say or pump? I know the May 30th is the solo show.
May 30th is the solo show, and then I do a Wednesdays at the Hole in the Wall with my buddy Jeff playing music.
Okay.
It's a happy hour, and it's from 6 to 8. And people come there, mostly like college kids and some faculty even. Not to see me necessarily, but they're just there to have a few drinks and let off some steam. And then I've usually got 5 or 6 friends who will come and see me play. So there's maybe 10, 15 people hanging out. It's really, really low key.
I love that place.
I love that place too. It's still the same as it was when I moved. I
Different.
mean, there's changes out back and stuff, but that corner stage with the window right by the sidewalk, that's where me and my buddy Jeff play. So
a lot of history.
A lot of history and a lot of fun. I've been playing there since '91. So it's whatever many years that is.
A lot.
A lot, yeah.
So what is the name of the band? Is it Ethan?
Oh, it's just Ethan and Jeff.
Okay.
So it's Ethan Azarian and Jeff Johnston.
And where's the best place to find your music online?
EthanAzarianMusic.com. Yeah. But I think I'm on, someone said the Orange Brothers were on Spotify. But my new album is on EthanAzarianMusic.com.
Cool.
I don't know if you can buy it from there or not.
Huh.
My next project, I'm working on a new album, which will be recorded in a couple of weeks. And then I'll release it probably next fall. But I think I have to figure out how to sell it online or whatever. Anyway, not to bore you.
No.
Bandcamp or something like that.
Well, Bandcamp I think's a little harder to make money off of, but I'd go for iTunes.
Maybe iTunes,
because that's the one where people search.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people use that, and that's where I'd like to go with the podcast, because people just go there. You know, so many people use Macs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
But you don't have anyone helping you with that, do you? You're doing that all yourself?
No, but I'm really looking to get a manager or somebody to help market me and Jeff, and I don't know. I think in the meantime, like art, one of the important things for me with making a living from art was being prolific. So I think I have to do the same thing with music. So keep making music every year, come out with something that people can download or listen to all the time, because that helps you evolve, and then people kind of like, wow, this person's been doing stuff a long time. It helps. You can't just paint for a year and then quit for a year. I don't know. I'll see. I'm enjoying writing songs, but it's kind of taken away from myself creating art, because I'm writing songs and I'm painting, but... And
you're a father.
Right.
And you're a husband.
Right. I am a husband and father, right.
Who's building your studio? I'm doing
it myself, but I'm having a friend help me.
Okay.
I'm doing some of it myself, but like the sheetrock and the siding, I hired somebody to do it.
Oh, good.
And he actually wasn't a friend, but now he's turned into a good friend. He's a really resourceful, nice, easygoing guy who's been helping me with all of the particulars of the studio.
Okay.
So I just have to do, I don't know, another 3 or 4 weeks, and I'll be able to move in there, I think.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then I have to paint it, which is a drag. But I don't have to pay somebody to paint it, but I have to paint it, and you know what that means. I'm not going to paint it until it's ready to fall. And
you've got to get it painted, though, or
I do. Yeah.
So this is Austin Abstract Artist Podcast number 11 with Ethan Azarian. I'm Carl Smith. EthanAzarian.net.
That's right. Thank you, Carl.
High five.
Smith, high five. Yeah, give me a good one. Yeah, that's good.
Thanks, man.
It was awesome.
I wanted to record a quick outro. That was a rambly Ethan Azarian and me just going for, having a conversation about whatever popped up. So I want to thank Ethan for coming. I'd never met him, but it was awesome to get to talk to him and, get to talk openly. I appreciate his openness about his business, and I want to try to encourage artists, to talk about how to let's come up with strategies for selling art, trying to make a living, and trying to figure out how to have a career as an artist. So anyway, I appreciate his work ethic. Ethan's art is awesome, and he goes for it, and that's the way to do it. I think for a lot of us artists, we just gotta make it and go for it and keep doing it and hope it works out. But I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, Austin Abstract Artist Podcast number 11. This is Carl Smith, and thanks Ethan Azarian. See you guys later. Bye.